Hi folks, how you doing? This is Iqbal with NVDA Daily Analysis. After 13% up yesterday, NVIDIA went down about 7% today. So there is still volatility in the market. Let's discuss NVIDIA stock price movement and take a look what should be our game plan. We'll also discuss about employment data and unemployment rate that's going to be published tomorrow. Let's get started. Starting with the daily summary, Nvidia opened at 117.53. It made a high 120.16. It made a low 106.81 and it closed at 109.21. That is 6.7% down. As I mentioned yesterday, that after 13% up, if Nvidia does not cross 125 resistance level, then the threat of Nvidia going down is not over. So today Nvidia showed that we cannot trust at this point that the strong momentum is back on Nvidia and overall market. There are multiple reasons behind it. One is a political uncertainty because of the elections, and second is the geopolitical scenario. The killing of Hamas leader in Iran increased the risk of this war gonna extend further. So we need to keep watching the situation very closely. If Iran strikes back on Israel, then that will be another bad news for the market, and the market will negatively react to it further. And you might see a bigger crash if that happens. And I see that people are still talking about recession. For example, take a look at these news from Market Watch. They're talking about recession fears, and from Guardian, they're also talking about recession fears, and NBC as well. The rationale behind it, as they mentioned, are the job data and overall manufacturing numbers. For example, yesterday we got initial jobless claims data published. As you see here, the weekly initial jobless claim that got published this morning. See that 249K versus 235K. So 249 is the actual number and 235 was the forecast. So much higher than the forecast. So the jobless claims continue to go up, and this is probably highest in the last 11 months, as they mentioned here. 11 months, right? And also the manufacturing index, the manufacturing data that got published from ISM continues to go down. You see that the last number we published this morning is 46.8 versus 48.8 forecast. So that tells that, the job market and the manufacturing is getting weaker with the passage of time. So the market is expecting Fed to intervene and start cutting the rates earlier than expected. As they mentioned here, the manufacturing is slowing and the Fed has left cutting interest too late to head off a recession. So even if we see more and more news about a recession fears, but I still think we are not heading towards recession. Once Fed starts cutting interest rate, for example, September or October, we'll see market again start going up. And by that time, we'll have more clarity on the political situation sometime in November. So it's just a matter of time. Probably next month or two are tough for the overall stock market. So the best strategy as I follow is to stay away from the market and do not make any transaction, because if we do, the chances of losing money is high, because you never know. One day the market can go up, the next day it can go down, right? If you buy too high, the next day it goes down about 10%, then you lose your money. I already have Nvidia, SMCI, and Amazon shares bought, but I'm still holding it. I put a stop loss for Nvidia at 97 at this point, but depending on the situation next day or Monday, if Nvidia continues to go down big, my next stop loss would be around 88 or 89, and that will be my hard stop loss. Now let's take a look forward P for Nvidia. As of this point, Nvidia forward P is at 31.16, much lower than the last 7 weeks of average. Same thing with Palantir is also down. At this point, it's 79.03, SMCI 21.53, and AMD 38.20. As of this point, I'm little concerned on SMCI because it's already 200 point down from the point I bought SMCI. I know Nvidia may recover before elections. I will get my money back, but for SMCI, still I'm not sure. We'll have to see what SMCI reports on earnings sometime early next week. And I'll also publish my price projection analysis for SMCI sometime tomorrow. Now let's take a look Nvidia historical price analysis. You see a cumulative percentage change for Nvidia for this quarter after last earnings. At this point, Nvidia is still up about 17.6% from the last earnings report. So Nvidia starting third month after earnings continue to go down. I was expecting some recovery later this week and early next week, but looks like it's still Nvidia is under pressure in overall market. Compared with the last quarter, we see that Nvidia went down in the second and the third month, but it started going up few weeks before the earnings announcement that happened sometime here. So same thing I'm expecting probably next week or 1 week after, Nvidia should show some recovery and should try to catch up the losses that they made in last few weeks. Now let's take a look Fibonacci levels. You see 90-day hourly interval chart for Nvidia and also Fibonacci levels. As we saw yesterday, the next level of support was 125, and I had my opinion that Nvidia should break this level before we say with confidence that the tough time for Nvidia is over. But Nvidia was not able to break this level, so Nvidia is still under pressure. So risk is still there for Nvidia to go further down. So next level of support is 100.6 and after that is 89. And I'm more than positive, based on my understanding, Nvidia should not break this level before earnings. I just give you my estimate or my assessment as my lowest point, but does not mean that Nvidia has to go down to that level. It's possible that Nvidia might go a little bit and then again show some recovery. As we saw yesterday and day before yesterday, the stairs pattern, stair number 1 and 2 and 3. And day before yesterday, I was expecting Nvidia to go down further and make another stair. But it did not happen yesterday. But still, we see that the gap between the upper band and the lower band is too high. See? So the consolidation and the risk of Nvidia going further down is still there. It will also depend on the unemployment and the employment data that's going to be published tomorrow. Let's take a look. You see that US unemployment rate going to be published in the morning tomorrow before market opens. The last month it was 4.1% actual versus 4% forecast. So last month came higher than the forecast. This cycle we're expecting 4.1%. And if the unemployment rate comes higher than the forecast, that would send a weak job market signal. And the market would expect Fed to intervene before September to do the rate cut. And also the US non-farm payroll is going to be published in the morning before market opens. The last month came higher than the forecast, 2.6K versus 191K. And this cycle, the forecast is 176K. So if payrolls comes higher than the forecast, then it would send a signal that the job market was overall still strong because the non-farm payrolls data suggests a change in the number of people employed during the previous month. So that will be tricky. If non-farm payrolls comes higher than the forecast, and the unemployment rate comes higher than the forecast, so that will be a mixed signal, right? So one data suggests the weak labor market, the other data suggests comparatively strong labor market. But if both data suggest in the same direction, then we'll get clarity. For example, if the non-farm payrolls comes lower than the forecast and the unemployment rate comes higher than the forecast, then for sure the data suggests that the economy is getting weaker or the job market is getting weaker. So that's why these two data are very important to get some clarity tomorrow. Now let's take a look some news regarding Nvidia. So let's take a look this one that says the sell-offs of Nvidia could be a good buying point, says Commerce Street's Dottie Willie. I kind of agree with that. If I had some more cash, I would have bought more Nvidia around 105, and I'll keep it for some time because I know that next few weeks I will make good money out of it. But I bought Nvidia about 120. That was comparatively a higher buying price, so I should have waited more. So now this one that says the Fed rate cut hopes are not moving the market anymore. So that's what I said. Fed rate cut is coming, but market is expecting the Fed rate cut to come sooner than September. Now this one that says that Nvidia stock drops, what Meta's earnings mean for the AI chip maker. So as we saw, Meta was able to beat the earnings, and that was a good thing for Meta. So Meta EPS 7.9% beat and revenue 1.99% beat. That helped Meta stock go up about 5% today. So this tells that overall the earnings from the tech are not too bad, even if one or two tech companies are missing the expectation, but overall things are not too bad. So that's another reason for me to think that this situation that the market going down is temporary. So I guess that's all about NVIDIA analysis and assessment for today and early next week. So as I said early in this video, we should not get panic and try to make some weird transaction. I'm gonna hold on my stocks. I'm watching the situation. I'll put a stop loss. The soft one is at 97 for NVIDIA and the hard stop at 88 or 89, depending on the situation. I hope you liked the video. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you more tomorrow. Take care.